Okay. Where are we? Valewood. I tried to get up this, and I couldn't scale it.
At once.
I can't do that. I would like to go up there, but I don't have a means. Now I'm gonna cross the river, see what's over here. Naunton.
Hello.
Greetings. On your way south, is it? Seems nervous. Okay. Wow, you look to be a long way from home. Meaning no offense. Not sure what brought you down here, but it's no place to go wandering alone. The sooner you're clear of these woods, the better, I think. What's your hurry? I mean to follow my own advice. Came out here on a hunt, me and a friend of mine. Thought we'd bring a stag home, eat something other than bread for once. Came up on a bear instead. Great monstrous thing. And Pearly, he didn't make it. I don't know what I'll tell his wife. In any case, this forest already cost me a friend. I'm heading home before it takes anything else. Where did you find this bear? In a cave up that way. I wouldn't seek it out if I were you. It was a great brute of a beast. Would hate to hear that it took another life. Who are you? Name's Naunton, born and raised in Gilded Vale. Haven't had a spot of luck since. Luckier than Pearly, I suppose. Pearly saw something in the brambles. We went tearing off after it. We all but stumbled into the cave. Poor Pearly didn't stand a chance. The bear was on top of him before he knew what was happening. Okay. Something to look out for. River reed. Can't cross there, too deep, I assume. Camping supplies, copper pan, hunting bow. The grass is still flattened behind the wagon's wheels. Barrels of cabbages, potatoes, and squash have been overturned and abandoned. Uh-oh. Okay. Ooh. I like how the entire wolf exploded, but I was still able to get a pelt from it. Settler's arrow. Mushrooms. Shattered pieces of a crate are strewn across the dirt, along with a few muddy vegetables. Uh-oh. Is that Pearly? Wort. Uh-oh. Zarip. I've fought these before.
Quietly now. Stand together!
Oh, there's 3 of them.
Stand together! Yeah!
3 spears, 3 bucklers, Zarip tongue, and an agate. Saving that. Copper skit. Padded cap, quarterstaff. The struts and supports are large enough to be the ribs and vertebrae of a dragon. So the bear must be near. There's the bear cave. Let's do it.
Shh.
There's the bear. Okay.
Stand together! Yeah!
Oh god. Oh no. They weren't kidding. I probably won't be able to do this.
I'd be glad to.
Unless I get like a lucky crit or something.
Not a sound. Yeah! Ah! Ah! Huh. Ha! Stand together. Ha! Ha! Ha!
Okay. This is a good time to use notes. Remember to revisit Bear Cave and oh. Okay. And I think I can. Can I make a note? Well, it's already marked. I thought I could make notes or markers.
Absolutely.
And we are headed there. Oh, awesome. What is this green bar again? Health. Okay. On to Gilded Vale. It will take you 8 hours. Okay. We've got Windmill, Ingroid's house, Offra's house, Eater, Temple of Aelthus, Aloth, the Black Hound Inn, Road West, Road South, Blackhammer Smithery, Road East. And all sorts of things, other things I imagine. Clink. Oh, whoa. Ooh.
You must be one of the new settlers. Welcome to Gilded Vale. You'll be pleased to know that we've had some recent vacancies here.
Are you mad? No wonder this place looks half empty. The only answer you hear is the buzzing of flies from the tree.
Of course, we'll need to make some inquiries first. The inestimable Lord Radric VII has taken great pains to insulate our town from Widewind's legacy. Have you ever sired a Hollowborn child?
What are you talking about?
An infant born without a soul, of course. Lord Radric has made it his first priority to eliminate this scourge from our village. I should warn you, stranger. Here in Gilded Vale, we have a special place for dissidents, charlatans, and those who would hide a curse in our midst. His lordship's wife is with child and due any day now. Without his approval, I shan't be able to find you a permanent settlement. It will have to wait until after the birth. We can continue our interview then, after the bell tolls from Radric's hold to signal my lord's new heir. In the meantime, you can find temporary accommodations at the inn just southwest of here.
That tree over there? Ah, yes. Not everyone has accepted the measures necessary to keep the village safe. Ever since Lord Radric banished the mothers of Hollowborn, some have taken up arms against him. And while he's been searching for a cure, he's been beset with frauds and opportunists. We've had ciphers, wizards, and animancers come through town, taking the Lord's coin and promising to end the curse. Lord Radric finally decided to make an example of those who would profit from our tragedy. The latest was an animancer from the Valian Republics who claimed to know techniques none of us had seen. Apparently a dwarven woman. By now, we've seen it all. Okay. I guess my character is going to stand for this. Is there someone in town who could help me feel better?
Whatever your problem, it sounds like a matter for an animancer. However, the only animancer in Gilded Vale isn't in any condition to speak. Consider yourself fortunate. After she failed Lord Radric, we saw to it that she wouldn't profit from the misplaced trust of others. A bad cure is often worse than none at all. But if you're set on finding a bottle of troll piss or a dead Audra pebble to rub on your forehead, you're welcome to check her pockets. A little corpse stink is nothing when you're digging for shit. My advice, however, is to be satisfied that you escaped and leave it at that.
If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. It's important that everyone in Gilded Vale understands our rules. Okay, Hollowborn and Waidwin's legacy. I forget that you foreigners do not have this curse in your homelands. The Hollowborn have been a scourge upon the Deerwood for almost 15 years now. Children born without souls. Pitiful, dumb things that breathe, barely, but do not truly live. Some say the Hollowborn are a disease. Some say they are punishment from the gods. In truth, no one knows, but they began spreading after the Saints' War, and so the name Waidwin's Legacy stuck in honor of that foul, blasphemous pretender. I see. I saw several people conducting a strange ceremony near some ruins. You'll want to mind where you mention that. Trespassing on Ingwithan ruins is illegal, not to mention dangerous. You probably saw someone attempting some new rituals to appease the gods. People will try anything these days. Bareth have mercy, we certainly have. I don't think so. Just as they finished, there was a bivouac. If you'd been that close to a bivouac, you wouldn't be standing here. Goodbye.
Keep out of...
Listen!
Sounds like a bell.
2 tolls. Let that be the last. 3. Gods have mercy.
It seems your arrival is ill-timed.
Don't know what that means.
3 bells toll only for the death of a Radric. I fear Lord Radric's heir is lost, or else Hollowborn, and so lost all the same. You should tread carefully. Circumstances have changed a great deal.
What happened? I will know more details when the messengers arrive. The vagaries of childbirth, perhaps, but that is not your concern. What do you mean? You come to us at a time of mourning. The legacy has struck at the heart of Gilded Vale. Our efforts to redeem ourselves in the eyes of Bareth must be redoubled. Does this affect the Lord's offer to new settlers? I can be sure of nothing right now. I advise you to get some rest. The inn, or a stable for all I care. Find me afterwards. I will know more soon enough. Okay. Speak with the innkeeper at the Blackhound Inn. That's a side quest or a task. Seek help for your condition. Did that. Okay. Quest completed. The Gilded Vale. Okay. Urgeet. I'm afraid I still can't help you find residence here. Lord Redric's son was deemed a Hollowborn. This makes circumstances even more fraught than before. Tell me about him. He comes from a line of nobles who have defended these lands since Aedir times. Redric II was an early supporter of Deerwoodian independence during the Revolution, and the current lord's father perished in the Saints' War. Hollowborn began appearing in the Deerwood shortly after the war's end. Lord Redric has taken it upon himself to purge the curse from Gilded Vale. His measures have been severe but necessary. Unfortunately, it may not have been enough, if the bells were any indication. The Saints' War? Our age's most egregious example of man's madness. 15 years ago, the people of Reedsiras decided that Waidwin, their living saint, was the literal incarnation of the god Eothas. This supposed saint took it upon himself to liberate the Deerwood, supposedly from allegiances to less worthy gods, but I've never known an army to conquer a land for its people's own good. War lasted about a year, but you can guess what that year did to the worship of Eothas in the Deerwood. Lord Redric's forebears had all been Eothians, but after his father fell defending us from those families, he personally saw that the temple of Eothas here in town was shut down. If If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. It's important that everyone blah 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 blah. More about Gilded Vale. We're a frontier village. Gilded Vale hasn't grown much since its establishment in the colonial days, and the last 15 years have seen our population shrink further. Hence our recruitment of fresh settlers. Tell me about those ruins. That's what's left of the Temple of Eothas. Lord Raedric forbade worship of the dead god after the Saints' War. It's been abandoned for almost 15 years, but there are plans to rededicate it to Barath, the god of life and death. Why has it been shrinking? Waidwen's legacy, of course. Many women have had difficulty bearing children, healthy children of late. A few years ago, Raedric decreed that no mothers of Hollowborn are to be allowed in Gilded Vale. It may be harsh, but if it purges us of the curse, is it not worth it? Sellsword. Move along. Keep out of trouble. Let's go look at this tree. Scattered between the roots are bracelets of twine and bead, wilting flowers, and notes half erased by the rains. Over here. Blood moss.
Were you looking for someone in that tree? I could introduce you.
Eater. Eater? Eater. Looking for anyone who can help me feel better. My condolences. He exhales and turns his attention away, watching the village around him. Welcome to our lovely village. I'm sure he'll come back around at some point. Hold on. Let's go. Can I get... Decent folks like you don't fare too well in these parts. Tuatanu is one of the best smiths in the Deerwood, but his stock's been lousy lately. And then I told her that's not the pistol. I heard they fended off another attack on Lord Raedric's keep. The Black Hound Inn's a fine place to sit and have a smoke. This is the inn, so let's go in the inn. Looks pretty abandoned. There's a Black Hound. I'll pet the dog. The dog's tail thumps happily against the floorboards. These bones are covered in tiny bite marks. We got Shane Shakes Mulrian, Scylla Ammon, and Deslok Najitek. Scylla Ammon. As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this woman's soul. Voices from its past seem to call out to you. Reach out for that soul. You see a long, empty road cutting through two large crop fields. The air is silent and the land seems too still for early afternoon. This woman walks slowly on the road, leading a horse, curiously looking around. She seems to sense something wrong, but is unable to discern what it is. She stops, sniffing the air, her nose high. Her brow crinkles and she casts about, looking for something. The air is clear, no clouds. She sniffs again. Still looking around, confusion clouding her face, mouthing a single word. Fire! Fire? She looks out across the fields, her confusion turning to fear. She holds her hands up to block the sun from her eyes and scans the fields again. Not finding what she was looking for, she jumps onto her horse's back, the fear quickly becoming panic. She kicks, sending the horse shooting down the path, which bends around some trees to where the farmhouse should be. She pulls up short, horror now in residence on her face as she stares at the burned and charred mess that used to be her family's home. Tears well up in her eyes as she kicks again, racing to the rubble. Okay, more soul-reaching. You see an emaciated boy in chains, black holes for eyes, staring sightlessly at a wall. A man in a dark coat walks in, a scroll and an odd-shaped quill in his hand. The boy glances at him, expressionless, a corpse waiting for animation. The man clucks at him, disapproval clear in his tone. The boy stands, limbs hanging. The man takes the quill and begins to write on the boy's chest, copying sharp, angular symbols from the scroll. The child does not flinch as the quill digs into his skin, drawing blood as it goes. The wizard finishes with a flourish and barks some arcane command, setting the symbols to glow dully. The boy cries out, knees hitting the stone hard, his chest burning black and red. Finally, the glow disappears, leaving only hard black scars etched into his skin. He slumps sideways, twitching, his eyes facing the back of his skull. The wizard grunts, kicking him on the leg on his way out. The boy lies on the floor until dawn, eyes still black like holes, the twitches growing into convulsive shakes. These are some really interesting stories. Deslok Nejatep. You see a man soar through the air, hitting a nearby wall with a nauseating crunch. He doesn't get up. His attacker, a burly, clean-cut warrior with carnivorous grin, turns and shoves his fist into the stomach of another assailant, removing another from the impromptu brawl. The bar is a whirlwind of elbows, knees, fists, and feet, with no end in sight, and he is in his element. In the corner, three smaller men speak quietly, throwing malicious glances at the larger man in the center. He breaks a chair over a tattooed head, cackling. The trio position themselves in three parts of the room, with a terse nod as they charge. Unfortunately for them, the man sees them coming. Something in his eyes burns brightly, and all three slump to the ground in an agony that's all in their minds. The burly man bows to a room of the unconscious and incapacitated before sauntering out, off-key whistle trailing behind him. The Deerwood, Part 1, Early Colonial History, Lockpicks. Crammed behind the books is a drawing that shows Eothas and Lord Raedric in a compromising position. Okay.
It's no trouble.
Lockpicks required, 3. Party lockpicks, 11. Do you want to pick the lock? I'm a monk. I only feel comfortable taking stuff if the container is already open. Now, if I had another party member that was a thief, they might want to do that. Grab a drink, friend. Not much else of worth in this town, says the woman from Thayen. Hey, we said we wouldn't mention Thayen. Roaches scatter and flee under the crates. In guest. Please leave me be. I am full to sickness with what I've seen in this place and its people. 10 Years of Dawn book.
It's no trouble.
Locked. Downstairs. Strom Brightblade, Selena Vertivo. More history. You see a group of young men standing around a makeshift practice target. This man stands in the middle of them, explaining the construction and use of a bow. He holds it up, pointing out each part as he speaks about it and what it does. He then walks away from the target, telling them to remain where they are, and takes his place about 200 feet away. He carefully lines up his shot, explaining what he is doing as he does, and lets the arrow fly. It hits the target dead center, much to the surprise and delight of the boys near it. He smiles, walking towards the boys, talking about proper stance and how to most effectively hold a bow. A noise comes from the tree line near their practice venue, and he stops, scanning the woods, blue eyes squinting against the sun. A shadow moves, making its way through the forest behind them. He draws an arrow and lines up the shot, carefully tracking the motion of the hidden creature. Loosing the arrow, he wastes no time and quickly grabs another. The boys spin, watching the arrow fly into the forest, immediately lost among the trees. There is a sudden explosive movement in the undergrowth as a deer erupts from the tree line, running across the edge of the clearing. The boys laugh, turning to joke with the man about his lousy shot. They stop talking, seeing him hold the bow and leading the deer with a knocked arrow. They drop to the ground as he looses this last arrow, which flies true and strikes the deer right behind his shoulder, piercing heart and lungs and dropping it dead almost immediately. The boys stare at the deer for a few seconds and then slowly turn to look at the man, newfound respect in their eyes. He smiles again and breathes a quiet sigh of relief. You see a woman emptying her satchel onto her bed, taking stock of her inventory. Potions, bandages, tinctures, and herbs are scattered throughout her room haphazardly. She bites her lip, head tilted to the side, considering. She begins to repack, one item after the other, careful deliberation undercut by shaking hands. Each item has a clearly marked place, but no matter how she repacks it, it isn't satisfied. The shaking worsens as she empties it out once more, one hand held to her mouth. Tears eke from her eyes as she gives up all semblance of order and shoves everything she can into the satchel, grabbing it and running out of the bare house. Straightening her back, she walks to the docks, chin high, eyes hard and red. A gangly young elf offers his condolences, but she can't see him for the ocean ahead of her. She wanders the docks, offering her services as a doctor to any who will listen, anyone heading out on high tide. Less than an hour later, she watches her childhood disappear in the distance, a tiny speck of an island, and tries not to jump. Scroll of Fan Flames. Development of a Crucible Knight, Part 2, Senior Ranks, Copper Ski.
It's not that I don't want to carry more.
Wish we had some minstrels in here. Thought this place was going out under after the owner left, but it's held out. Drunkard. And who are you then? Another fool come to answer Radric's invitation? Our great lord had my sister run out of town after the boy was born. The boy was born. She was the only family I had left. Not sure where she is now. Whoops. Blazes, I need another drink. I'll drink to that. Nice and dry. You just come into town, Kith like you seem to do alright. Anyone seen Pearly around? He's usually drinking his head off at this hour of the day. He's dead. Did you hear the bells? Bad news, I think. Got a milk and grain. Some kind of brown slop is congealing in these dishes. It smells burnt. Here's the bartender.
Welcome.
Our proprietor. Hello and welcome to the... Oh, it's you. Tenfrith told us what you did for him. It's such a relief to have him back. I can't thank you enough. Consider yourself a favorite of the house. Discounts on drinks, rooms. Tenfrith said he wanted to whip up something nice for you. He's already back to work in the kitchen. So what would you like? I'd like to know more about the Black Hound. Really? Well, let me see. The actual building's been here for years, but the Black Hound's fairly new. We get a lot of new faces in here too. Fewer than we used to, I'll admit. Gained 639 experience for that. Tenfrith's the big draw. I'm sure we'll get the big crowds back again in no time. I used to work the tables, actually, until the old owner up and left. Nobody's sure what happened to him. Even left his poor hound behind. That's the name, see? The Black Hound. It's still sitting upstairs, pining up after him. Poor old girl. Place ended up in my hands somehow. My very own inn. A lot of hard work involved, but it's been worth it so far. Sit where you like. Would you like a drink or a room? We have 2 available at the moment. I'm afraid we can't offer much by the way of good meal today. unless you're fond of cold porridge. What do you have for sale? I'm sure you'll find something to your liking. We have the finest cooks in the Deerwood. So, I think, I should keep one or two of every item, or weapon or armor, since I have an sort of infinite stash. Can you sort? Sell that. There we go. Just like that. Deflection. They're the exact same. 8 deflection. Okay. Hide armor. Deerwoodian clothing. Leather armor. Leather armor, all of this is leather armor. Scale armor. Helm. I don't think these give you anything, so I could just sell them. I'll keep that one. I'll just keep them. Beer, rice, meat, milk, poultry. I'll keep these for now. Lockpicks, torches, books. I'll keep. I'll keep those. Hey, pissed off bunny. Thank you. I did find it by accident. That's good to know. Okay, keep all that. We've got all the stuff that I just sold him. We got food, beer, drink, some potions. Might buy one of those. Camping supplies, good to know. Recruit adventurers. Okay. I can store items. Cool. Retrain, so I can respec my character. Awesome. From the party management screen, you can see what your allies are up to when they aren't in the party. If you've assigned them to adventures, you can see how long it will take for them to complete their assignment. Recalling a companion or adventurer from a mission before it is completed will forfeit all of the potential rewards for that assignment. Neat. Inns allow the character to rest without using camping supplies. Cheap rooms are usually available, but if you have copper to spend, you may consider the more expensive options. The bonuses they provide last for a long time and affect the entire party. I am cheap, so I'm just going to get a common room right now. Your sleep is restless and fevered, assaulted by hisses and whispers, blanketed with a suffocating anxiety. You open your eyes to awaken and find yourself in front of Gilded Vale's gallows tree, the creaking of its ropes growing louder in your mind until the sound is deafening. Hanging from the tree is an old dwarf woman whose face has shriveled inward like moldering fruit. Her head hangs limply to one side. As you look at her, she looms larger and larger in your mind until she is mere inches from your face. Yee. Suddenly, her head snaps up and her eyes open, and they are empty, and behind them is a vast nothingness that makes your stomach drop. Her mouth slowly parts, and with a gust of rancid air, she speaks a word. Watch her. You jolt awake, the foul smell of the dwarf woman's breath still permeating your nostrils. Sweat runs down your face in thick droplets, and your skin is soaked from head to toe. You remember the woman. You remember seeing her decaying face when you spoke with the magistrate. He called her an animancer. Though it fills you with a new, queasy apprehension, you feel a strange compulsion to see this woman once more, if only to confirm she is truly dead. Party gained 249 experience. Pissed Off Bunny, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Okay. The floorboards are sticky with spills that no one has bothered to clean. I am running a Pale Elf Monk with a Drifter background. So I'm trying to roleplay a little bit. So if there is like a locked chest or anything, I'm not going to open it. If the container is already open, I will grab the items. I'm trying to be sort of altruistic, but I'm also pretty bad BA, so I'm not going to take any crap. Yeah, so that's really cool. I've played a lot of Baldur's Gate, like the D&D games like this. I have never played Pillars, so the races and classes are a little foreign to me. The races are really cool and varied. They look really awesome. I almost went with a godlike just because it looked so cool. But I usually pick elf. So it has turned to nighttime. This is Aloth. Oh, very cool. First CRPG. That's really interesting. Unfortunately, my age. Oh yeah, Baldur's Gate 3, by the same people that made the Divinity series. So I'm expecting really awesome things. I'm already loving it. I'm barely into the game, and I'm ready for Pillars 2 and whatever else Obsidian comes up with if they continue this series. I'm a bit of an older gamer, so my first CRPG was probably some old, like Might and Magic or something like that. I don't remember exactly what my first one was, but... this is Aloth. Looks like to be an elf. You see 4 people gathered by the door to the inn. Their raised voices and chopping gestures suggest an argument reaching its climax. The first figure raises his hands for calm. His face is partially obscured by a hood, but his height and stature suggest an elf.
I meant no offense. Let's put this matter to rest over a round, shall we? My treat.
Hoping to soothe our pride with a few Adira coppers, eh? We don't need your coin.
I'm a monk, so I'm gonna say nothing. Angry townsman, you've got a lot of gall mocking us in our own village. We don't take ill treatment from foreigners, especially not Adirans.
Go on. Say it again. I'm itching for an excuse.
Fie, you're itching for the kindling touch of your sister, you cocksfeather!
Oh, language.
I'll cut that barrel-licking tongue out of your head.
This is a misunderstanding. I didn't say whatever it is you think I said. We've nigh quarrel.
That's where you're wrong.
I don't think attacking him is such a good idea. And why is that? Oh. Well, it would have been nice to... Okay. This will end badly. It sounds suspiciously like you're defending him. Okay, battle time. I also haven't played any of the Divinity games. They are also on my list. Yep, I've heard of Avowed. I watched the trailer a few weeks ago when they announced it. Looks really cool. And I'm a big Skyrim fan, Elder Scrolls fan, so I'm definitely looking out for that one. Oh, I did not connect those dots, that it is in the Pillars universe. Very cool. I'm even more excited. Battle time. These should be easy to take care of, but you never know. Oh my goodness, yes. As the last of the attackers falls, the elf turns to you, his tension almost gone from his smooth face.
Not quite how I hoped to get to know the neighbors. Thank you for your timely assistance with that awkward situation.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I didn't notice. I'd gotten some experience in the inn, but it didn't check. Hey, I appreciate any help. I do struggle sometimes with figuring stuff out, so feel free to comment at any time. You're welcome.
Courtesy is a rare pleasure in these parts, though your accent suggests that you are no more local than I.
He straightens his hood and you note the remains of fraying embroidery on his gloves. His boots are caked with the dirt of many months' travel, but the leatherwork beneath it is sturdy and fine.
Well, I suppose introductions are in order after that little fiasco. Aloth Corvisor, at your service.
How did you manage to get stuck out here? That is something of a long story. Okay.
Well, I'm a wizard by training, and an adventurer by necessity. I was born in the Seathwood, part of the mainland of the Adir Empire, and both of my parents served the nobility, which afforded me an education for which I'm grateful. However, there were no open positions in those houses, and so I decided to seek new means in a new land. And how exactly did you come to be here?
I was traveling with a caravan, but we were separated near some ruins.
In Gwithan Ruins? Oh, those can be dangerous places during the best of times, which these are not. In half the locals would arrest you for trespassing, and the rest would kill you outright. I'm curious, what exactly did you find there?
Several hooded figures operating a strange machine. Nothing. A man must have his secrets very well. How did you manage to cross those 3 drops?
I'm afraid that was a matter of misunderstandings and mistranslations. It doesn't help that people in these parts remember their war with Adir like it was yesterday.
You did make a rather lewd suggestion regarding one of the aggressors and his own sister. Ah, that. As I tried to tell them, they misheard me. Happens all too easily after a few pints, and the accent doesn't help. I heard the same thing. For just a moment, he looks as if he's about to say something else. His expression brightens with mischief, but before he can speak, he forces a tight smile, biting his lip so hard you expect to see blood. Finally, his face relaxes and he shakes his head. I should speak more clearly next time. My apologies. What are you doing here?
An excellent question. I came looking for fresh air and cheap land. Instead, the magistrate gave me directions to the inn and a story about the local lord's expectant wife. But I take it that's a familiar tale.
Yes, it is. And you? I've been experiencing strange things of late. I'm looking for an expert on souls.
Indeed. The local lord has searched far and wide for similar specialists. He has rid himself of them almost as desperately.
I expect that such expertise would be best sought elsewhere. You don't exactly look like a settler.
Begging your pardon, but neither do you. Yet, circumstances can find a person in the strangest of places.
I should get going.
As should I, given recent events. It's just as well. I've had enough of the watered wine and lumpy beds at the inn. They say even the owner tired of the place. Just up and left one day. It explains quite a lot about the upkeep. Perhaps I could join you. I could use a change of scenery, and I find it's better to travel in numbers.
I like this guy, of course. So do I. Let's go then.
Excellent. I shall follow you.
Club, daggers, clothing, silver. Okay. Level up.
I'm here.
Yes. 1 to stealth. Testomedia? Thank you for the follow. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Quarter Age. So I haven't played this game. Should I specialize in just one skill, or should I diversify? Seems like I would want a couple of specializations, but awesome. That's what I was thinking. So I'm going stealth because early on in the caverns we used stealth with the other guy and it seemed to work really well. I was getting some crits and stuff, and the others don't really make sense for me except for survival. So I will put one in there, and I will keep the rest. You can always retrain your people as you get a larger party. Okay. Yeah, I saw the respec. That's really cool too. A lot of quality of life improvements from Baldur's Gate and things. Okay, next. Okay. Turning wheel. Passive ability. +5 burn damage per wound. Long stride passive. +2 move speed. Torment's reach. Requires 1 wound. Melee. It's an area of effect. Skill. Okay. Exploits the shared bonds of universal suffering between all beings. The initial target is hit with a powerful blow that does additional crush damage. Enemies in a cone behind the target suffer crush damage and have their might reduced. Cool. The strategy is usually to specialize, and crafting players focus on. Okay. Yep. Thank you, Bunny, and Testa Media. You're talking about Force of Anguish? Torments. Okay. Yeah, that one looks cool. And I don't have any AoE effects. I got Stunning Strike or Swift Strike with the lightning added. So, or Lightning Strike. So I'm gonna... Cool. I'm going for it. Alright, I want to look at my other guy. He has a cape, a hood, leather armor, Aloth's Grimoire. Oh, very cool. Wizards have the ability to learn a staggering number of spells, but they are always limited by the capacity of their grimoires. At any given time, a grimoire may only contain 4 spells of each level. Click on a spell in the right panel to remove it from the grimoire. Add spells, empty slots by clicking. So he has Minoletta's Minor Missiles. Assume that's like a magic missile. Oh. Also has Crush Corrode damage. Archimir's Dazzling Lights. Okay. Kalikoth's Sunless Grasp. Freeze damage. Reduces accuracy. Fan of Flames. Burn damage. Okay. That's pretty much all he has except for this, which is... creates a duplicate of the caster. Okay. And he has a scepter, two-handed rapier. So I think I asked this last time, but I didn't get an answer from anybody. DR, higher the better? It's not like Dieko in old D&D, where lower is better. Okay. So I've got this scale armor. I'm gonna put on that guy. Monk wearing armor.
I'm here.
Heavier armor makes you slow. Okay.
Certainly.
I may need to... recovery speed. What size? That's medium armor. And what did I? I had medium armor on, so longer recovery speed. I think I'd rather have. Oh, naked monk. Okay, medium armor, that's fine. Hey, you can have the Cloak of the Obsidian Order. There.
Yes?
Okay. Step over this naked man. We're good to go. Barath spell. Villager. Careful if Yetis, guards patrol the eastern wood, but not the Black Meadow. Okay. Ronan, Teronian, and Hugo. Another soul. You see a group of people standing around a wagon transfixed on a sword as it swings in a large, graceful arc. This man holds the sword, passing it from hand to hand with a relaxed ease, making the blade dance in front of his audience. He tosses it into the air, spins, and then puts his arms back behind his back to catch it. The crowd claps excitedly, and a couple of them gasp, certain they were about to see a tragedy. Hugo. You see a room, bright, warm, and covered in greenery. There isn't a spot in the entire space that doesn't have some kind of plant growing in it. Small germinating seeds in a corner here. Large sprawling vines climbing the walls there. I get you. Although most of the plants are actually in some kind of container, there are a few that have grown from the dirt floor itself. These are just as lovingly cared for as anything else in the room. The man wanders through the plants, smiling at each and every one, an old pipe clenched between his teeth. Stopping next to one, he touches a leaf, lifting it up to look at the underside, then gently rubs it between his fingers. He takes a small handful of the soil it grows in and crushes it with his fingers. Satisfied, he drops the soil back into the pot and continues to the next plant. He hums a low, cheery tune as he moves among the plants, occasionally stopping to sing a few words of something to one of them. Finally, he reaches the door, having visited every plant in the room. He turns back to look at them, a look of serene pleasure on his face. Then he turns back and is gone. Okay. Pilgrim's Crown. So do those characters come back around? Like, they seem like they're party members, like they could be party members, but despite the rains, the stalk feels as dry and as stiff as locust husks. Did you hear the bells? Bad news, I think. Yep. 3 bells. NPCs with gold-plated names are pretty much inconsequential. Related to Kickstarter backers. Okay. Oh, okay. Didn't know you were also at the beginning of the game. Very cool. Yeah, those stories are really cool. I just assumed that they would eventually become party members because they were giving you so much information about them. Villager. Ah, monk, yeah. I don't know what it is about the monk. I just like it. Like, I've got a D&D game where I'm a monk with the exact
I
same
hear.
name as this guy, actually. I've
Absolutely.
got Diablo 3, I played the monk. I just like the concept of a monk, I guess. Like a martial arts monk, you know. Alright.
Absolutely.
Smithy. Ha, nice. It just makes sense, you know? You're already playing that character, why not put him in a video game? A role-playing video game. I don't know what monks do either in this game, actually. I just know, yeah, I know the wounds, and they seem to have skill sets and abilities that monks in other games that I've played have, so. Ooh. Oh, I'm not stealing. No, I'm not stealing. R.A. Salvatore's Cleric Quintet. Sweet. I haven't read any of his books since like the Dritz books, but I am a fan. An account of Tuantu sales. Yeah. Lawful good. Yeah, basically. I will help when I can. I'm not stealing since, you know, the whole monk thing. If the container's open, I will get the items. That just makes sense. Sort of. Here's Harlan Orenson and Dwigan Steelcaller. You see a man crouching surreptitious and alone, a series of untamed shrubs that all hides him from the vision ahead. His eyes are locked on a Delegman, beautiful and terrible, eyes half-lidded as she hums. A bird with fantastic blue and orange plumage sits on her shoulder, trilling gently, and the man is entranced. Trembling, tentative, he stands, and the tranquility is broken by the bird's startled squawk. The Delimgan half smiles, beckoning with twig-like fingers. She does not speak as she approaches. His mouth is dripping sounds of awe and admiration. She waits, coy and tempting, and with agonizing slowness he is before her. Then something changes. She sees something hanging limply from his side and begins to hiss. Fingers suddenly claws and eyes black with hate. He has no time to reach for his axe or grimoire as she strikes, and just as soon as she strikes, she is gone. The only evidence of her existence, the shuddering wreck on the ground. He grabs at his grimoire, nevertheless, and begins to chant, but the words of a magical language of his own imagining, scribbled in a maniacal shorthand, ring hollow, and the silence continues unabated. He turns and shrugs at someone or something. But if there is something there, you do not see it. You see a group of adventurers surrounded by a crowd of attacking Zarips. This man is with them, seemingly unconcerned by the battle, even detached from it as he stands in the middle of his comrades, chanting, his expression bordering on elation. His voice is powerful and deep, booming out across the combatants, as a rich counterpoint to the chaos of their fighting. With every phrase, the battlefield changes. His allies glow with a pulsing blue light, freezing the Zarips that surrounded them. A blazing pyre erupts from the ground, cutting and burning the creatures and sending them scattering. One of the falling Zarips suddenly explodes as the 3 giant grubs crawl from its corpse and attack the remaining enemies. The man continues to chant, thoroughly enthralled in the joy of the moment. Finally, the creatures have been reduced to 1. His allies stand back as the man approaches it. Still chanting, he removes his hammer and swings it at the Zarip. His phrase ends as the hammer connects with its head, punctuating the spell and bringing his song to an end. bellows sigh into the furnace, and the coals burn brighter still. Daily affirmations of focus and efficiency. Book. Okay. Let's talk to the apprentice. This Aumaua man is of an impressive build, towering above the countertop. His skin is the dusky blue of the deep oceans, and his thick arms boast corded muscle. Small ears frame a square-jawed face, coated in smeared soot, and arcing black tattoos alike. Welcome, you're the first new face I've seen in quite some time. What can I do for you? What do you have here? You come to us at a strange time, I'm afraid. The stock is not what it used to be, but we find weapons and armor to offer yet, all forged right here at the Black Hammer. Show me. No. Hike. That's cool looking. I probably won't get anything, but it's cool to look.
How do you do?
You mentioned something about your stock being low. We just don't have the supplies. Been expecting the next delivery for near on a week now, and haven't seen a sign of it. Have to expect they were hit by bandits. The road out east is crawling with them. Or my workers ran off with the wagon themselves, maybe, to make some coin. As if that lot would dare. He's right about the bandits. The dire situations in villages like this and the exodus to the cities has created far too many opportunities for unscrupulous sorts. If you'd happen to be headed that way, maybe you could keep an eye out for a supply wagon, or my shipment at least. They'd be cutting through the Black Meadow, I'd expect. Only good road for it. Sure, I'll find your supplies. Then you have my thanks. You bring those supplies back and I'll have plenty more to offer you. A discount to start. Oh, and if you find my workers, tell them to hurry it up or they can take up farming instead. Alright. If you can make it to high enough level, the monk gets the ability to heal himself. Once per encounter. Or once per day, something like that. Okay, gonna continue to make my way around. Big on D&D. I've been playing since 2nd edition, off and on. I wouldn't say I'm big in it. I've done a couple of campaigns. I ran a campaign, and I'm currently in a 5th edition campaign. We're going through the Curse of Strahd, the Ravenloft setting. You can call me whatever you want. beer. Haven't saved in a while. Bad. Ingrid. This man and woman appear to have been in deep conversation, working at closing two bulging satchels. They move to embrace until the woman notices your approach and pauses, her smile faltering a little.
Well met, friend.
Can we help you? She looks to her companion, brows furrowing with confusion. Do you know this man, Nanton? Nanton. Ah, the guy I met in Valewood, yes. Yes, I think we met in the Valewood. I warned him about the bear. Glad to see you made it. Was there something else you wanted? Autopause. Yeah, I have it set up to where as soon as we encounter an enemy, it pauses. When the battle starts, it pauses. If someone dies or gets wounded to a certain extent, it pauses. Like, it's probably overkill, but I was really excited to see all those options because the old school RPGs like Baldur's Gate and stuff didn't have that. You could pause, but it didn't auto pause for you. You two seem to be in a hurry. Yes, I imagine so. We're packing for a trip, actually. I've been meaning to visit Defiance Bay and... well, in truth, I think I've had my fill of this town. It's time for some new scenery. Is there anything you can tell me about Gilded Vale? Only that you'll want to be moving on as soon as you can. You'll have seen the tree, I imagine, but the rot goes deeper. If you were looking for work, I'd say you have a better chance of it elsewhere. We're headed to Defiance Bay ourselves. Okay. Here's a book. The Deerwood Part 2. This Battle of Sonreed is half empty. Crossbow, copper. Just taking stuff right in front of their face. No big deal. Something. Springberry. Goldratt Chew. Goldratt Chew is a favorite of farmers who swear by the minor boost in energy it provides. So, chewing tobacco basically. Okay. This pig is amazing, but it is completely useless. Deerwood Part 3. The whole set. Oh! Wasn't paying any attention. Ah, the symbols.
I'd be glad to.
Look at the icons, Quarter Age. Look at the icons. Kara Iloth. You see a crowded marketplace, vendor stalls lining the road, their proprietors' voices calling out to passers-by to come sample their wares. This woman wanders through the throngs, strolling hand in hand with another woman. They peruse the vendor's goods, tarrying at a book merchant with a number of old and beautiful tomes, chatting with one another about what they will see. One will pick up a book and show it to the other, who will take it, comment on it, and place it back on its shelf. Then the first will snatch up the book again and quickly pay the merchant before the other can snatch it back. They walk away from the market, weighed down by packs filled with books, still hand in hand, standing close, comfortable and familiar with each other. As they pass down a somewhat deserted street, an object suddenly hits the woman in the chest and bounces off, rolling away towards one of the buildings. The women stop and look at the object, an apple, and then back up at the person who threw it. There's nothing special about him aside from the angry look on his face and the two other apples he holds. Before either woman can move, the man draws back and throws another one at them, this time hitting the second woman in the forehead. He yells at them something derisive and hateful, something about a legacy and about responsibilities. The woman raises her hand to her head and wipes the juice and bits of fruit from her face, and stares the man down defiantly. The first woman squeezes her hand and puts the other on her companion's shoulders, attempting to calm her down. The other woman pulls a book from her pack and holds it before her, muttering under her breath. She pulls her hand free and waves it above the book, an aura forming around her. The first woman is still trying to calm her down, but all she says goes unheard. The man, uncaring for the events happening in front of him, draws back and throws the last apple. As it arcs through the air towards them, the second woman brings up her hand and points at the apple. A glowing orb of energy flies from her hand and strikes the apple, causing it to explode, raining bits of apple down on the road and buildings around them. The man's face changes, anger joined by fear, looking like he's trying to decide if running or attacking is the better course of action. The second woman has started chanting again, her hand glowing, her eyes narrowing. This woman steps in front of her, places herself between her love and their attacker. She touches her face, gently stroking it while whispering calming words, a kiss. The woman's countenance changes. She calms, her eyes softening, her lips regaining the lost smile. The first woman smiles again as well and kisses the other. "Wizard scum," the man behind them says, and the two women turn to face him, staring him down defiantly. They join hands and begin walking again, moving past him without so much as a sideways glance. Rats scurry behind the sacks. Edlin Priostan. You see a key turned gently, steady, and hear a ghostly click at the door as the door swings inward. Two figures slip in, locking the door behind them, and begin their prowl. Their hunt is efficient, and it takes them little time to acquire a sizable collection of documents in oddly shaped velvet pouches. Quick hands fill pockets, rucksacks, bags. The door opens downstairs and everything freezes. Footsteps, a tired giggle. The thieves are all white eyes and short breath as they empty their pockets of all but the necessities. Anything noisy, hurriedly replaced. Silence from downstairs, then tentative steps up the staircase. A voice calls out. One thief creeps forward, the other gesticulating wildly for him to return. He continues forward, crouching by the banister. He sees a gaudy shoe and shoves. The woman falls with a cut-off scream, rolling lifelessly to the floor below. Swearing, the second thief grabs her brother, and they make their escape, collecting whatever of value they can on the way out. Neat. Ooh. Press D to move faster out of combat. Oh my god. That is awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Bunny. Or, sorry, thank you, Masiju47? So many quality of life improvements. Feels like we've been seeing more bandits along the road of late. Here's Duran Chamberlain and Rudolfir Necatore. You see a large crowd gathered in the middle of the courtyard. This man stands in the midst of them, a cloak pulled over his head, holding it closed around his neck. The crowd has congregated around a platform, and they all watch, transfixed, as a man is led to the platform, flanked by two city guardsmen. The man is shackled hand and foot, but carries himself as a nobleman, not deigning to even glance at the crowd. The cloaked man pulls his cover closer around his face and turns to leave, hunching over to avoid being seen. A crier on the platform unrolls a parchment and begins to read, but the man pays no attention, intent on getting away from the courtyard. The crier's voice grows louder and more intense as he reads, and voice from the crowd starts to punctuate his sentences. The jeers and shouts grow more frequently, and with each one, the cloaked man flinches and his shoulders drop. He breaks from the crowd, coming to the edge of the courtyard as the crier reaches the end of his proclamation. The crowd grows silent again, save for the occasional shout. The man turns back to look at the platform, seeing his father kneeling before the block, neck exposed. The executioner moves into position, lifting his axe to strike. The man turns suddenly, unable to watch. There's a wet thunk, and the crowd breaks into cheers and applause. He leans against the wall, regaining his composure, then straightens up. With obvious resolve, he strides off, away from the crowd and his legacy. Rudolfir Necatore. You see a pair of immaculately polished leather boots and an impeccably maintained goatee. Their owner, a slightly hook-nosed man with a wicked grin and narrow eyes. He bobs his feathered hat at a nearby merchant as he ambles by, a small piece of parchment held tight in his fist, ink staining his fair fingers. He seems to know most of the merchants in the market, stopping to engage some, nodding at others, and even bartering for minor goods with a select few, always smiling, laughing, and exchanging jibes. He approaches a heavy-set Almawa, smile plastered stiff across his face, and jokes about the weather. She jokes back, suddenly palming him several gold coins. When he walks away, the paper in his hand is gone, and the smile on his face far more genuine. He tips his cap at her, winking, and trundles off with a new spring in his step. Okay. Windmill. We haven't been there yet. Aha. Swainer? We know there's more grain in there, Trumbull. We won't settle for scraps while you grow fat on our crops. The first of you drunkards comes through that door gets a shot between the eyes. Gods hear me, Swainer. I'll put you down like a dog. Come away for now, lads, but we'll be back, Trumbull, and we'll have fair prices, or by the flame, we'll have a reckoning. Investigate the feud. I will do that. Settler's Arrow. An elven man stands before you, his relatively stocky build suggesting a life of labor. His face is pale and drawn, and his eyes wide. Behind him, a younger man and woman exchange worried glances. The miller raises a club as you enter. It shakes violently in his grip. Get back if you value your life. Hold on, I'm not here to hurt anyone. The miller hesitates, then lowers the club. Wait, I know you. You just came into town, right? Don't tell me Swainer's already got his claws into you. Gods, that's all I need. Who's Swainer? The dwarf. The one standing out there spreading lies among the villagers. Bastard's been here for decades, and he hasn't gotten any kinder with time. Who are you? Is Swainer roping foreigners into his little crusade now? My name is Perrin Starflower. I've just only arrived in Gilded Vale. You picked a bad time to come visiting. Gilded Vale's had all its shine scraped off. Just a big dung heap now, and Swainer thinks he's king of it. They're all of them mad. What was the ruckus? Where to begin? Swainer's whipped them up into a froth. Going on about the grain stores. Claims I've hidden away most of it. 46 experience. Whoop. All I do with the grain is sell it. I can't create it out of thin air, and I can't hand it out for free. I pay the farmers for the crops they bring in, and I sell what comes out of the mill. Most of it goes to the Black Hound on the west side of town for ale, and Swainer and his lot sure don't mind that part. You take a look at the fields on the way into town, the crop's blighted, and most of what I'm getting from the farmers, it's gone off, rotted through. I can't pay top prices for blighted wheat, and I've barely got enough good grain to go around. Swainer's howling after things he has no right to. Seems like a pretty clean story for a messy situation. It's not. Look, Swainer's always been a rotten bastard. With stores so limited, maybe I save the good stuff for people who deserve it. Alfra, for instance, she's expecting a child. Should I let her starve instead? Do the villagers know about the grain supply? Maybe I ought to go have a talk. I'm gonna go have a talk with him. I'd be grateful if you did. He won't listen to me anymore, but maybe you'll have better luck. Tell him we're all having a hard time of it, and we'll all have to make some sacrifices. We'll be in your debt for it if you can convince him. Okay. Oh! Too hasty. Gotta pay attention to that icon.
I'd be glad to.
Father's a good man. He's always done right by the town. Sure, Father can explain better just what happened here. Alrighty. I think I've been everywhere except for the middle area. Theo Phalion. You see a pennant waving tall and sluggish in the wind, a rising sun embroidered on the banner, the vanguard of a small troop of paladins. The atmosphere is buoyant if restrained, and their armor has not yet been tarnished by the elements. This expedition is fresh, young, filled with zest and zeal. At their head stands a commander, awkward in full armor but determined in step. Despite the excitement of his fellows, he does not smile. There is a twist to his mouth, his countenance grim. He throws up a hand, halting his troops. Silence falls among them, revealing a dark thunder, deep and low. He orders them to ready their weapons and spread out. Eyes dart from horizon to horizon, necks twisting to see the source of the sound. In the distance, dust and lightning rise from the ground as Stygian clouds race toward them overhead. The soldier stands, only the staccato movement of their breath betraying their nerves. The commander closes his eyes, calling a blessing down on his troops. Invigorated, invincible, they wait as the enemy draws closer, poised to attack. That's a pally for you. Beneath the vines are crude carvings of a sun rising over 3 stars. This is going to be Bareth's house now. Okay. I already talked to Eater. Okay. So, I can go take care of the grain issue. That one's complete, I guess. I can go to Black Meadow. I need to go back to the tree. Oh. Caldara di Beranzi. The squat, distended body of an elderly dwarf woman dangles from a thin, crooked bough that sags at the tug of her nose. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn away in patches like moth-eaten linen, bulges over the rope that suspends her, and her lifeless head lolls forward rigidly from one side to the other when the breeze shifts. You perceive a faint glow around her that casts no light on its surroundings, but there is a tepid warmth to it, and you feel somehow that you could reach out and touch it. Not with your hands, but with some aspect of yourself that has no worldly dimension. Reach out for the woman. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind, focusing on your objective. As you exhale, you feel yourself spreading out towards the hanging woman, perceiving all that lies between you and her with new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you have expanded enough to reach her, there is a sudden jolt to your mind, a ringing electric surge of images and words and sounds. Involuntarily, you shut your eyes and feel yourself being pulled to some deeper consciousness in a space occupied only by you and the hanging woman, and when you open them again, she is staring at you with eyes clouded in a milky fog, her body still swaying in a wind you no longer feel from a tree that stands planted in a misty void. The woman gives a slow nod of her head, the rope creaking as she does so, and she smiles at you.
Have you come here for me, dear? Or have you gotten lost? Ah, it is both, I think. Yes?
I need to understand something that's happened to me. She nods, a look of pity on her face, as though consoling a child.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there. You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
What's a watcher?
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I, though. Not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair, and here we are visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times. Souls pass on, some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on, and those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either leaving or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how. A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them, know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their owner can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well. A wonder!
What do you mean when all goes well?
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties. You should see old Merwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Kadnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
I think I survived a bivouac. Do you know why that would be?
Did you now, dear? My, that would be something.
Oh, sorry.
A storm can be a careless thing. Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Called them. Those days are all behind me now.
You said souls break apart over time?
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die and pick up pieces of others when we are born again, but less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success. No. A very small few resist Rimergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think.
I want to know something about you.
Me? I'll bore you to tears, though.
What's an animancer?
A student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been. To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us? The best? Inspirations, miracle workers. My parents were soul twins, miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other, turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid. It's a fascinating science. A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Deerwood that does not control the research, no? I love the Valian Republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear.
What happened to you? She laughs, a rasping, choked cackle escaping between rows of buttery yellow teeth, causing her body to bob up and down with each spasm. Seeing your blank expression, she catches herself.
Oh, come now! Such a question! As though the answer were plain as a rope tied for strangling. Allow an old dwarf her last bit of cheer. Well, I came where I was needed, didn't I? Offered my services to Lord Radric for a pittance. A humble pittance. I was to examine the Lord's wife, see why the gods have seen fit to poison her womb. Studied her for months, looked high and low for impurities, tested her valence, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found?
Tell me.
Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too. Meek, but warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord. She is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the birth drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do. And this is where I've ended up.
I have some more questions.
Of course, dear.
Farewell.
Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
She closes her eyes, her head slumps forward over the noose, and your surroundings seem to bleed into your vision for some unknown place of waiting. Perrin Starflower was granted Crucible of the Soul. Are you alright? You seemed lost just now. 934 experience. 1400 total quest. Yes, I'm fine. That's good to know, but I don't suppose you could tell me what that was all about. I'm a watcher. Well, that's interesting. And I expect that explains your earlier reticence about your experience in the ruins, In any case, I appreciate your honesty. Since we're traveling together, it's probably wise for us to share these things. Do you know anything about Watchers? Only that they're rare and that they seem to have unique insights into certain soul conditions, as you just demonstrated. Let's continue on. Travel to Caed Nua. Quest completed. Visions and Whispers.
17 and a half. 17 and a half. Well, could be 18, depending on how you count the dwarf woman.
I'm sorry?
The dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta.
What are you talking about?
The people hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted, anyway.
Is that what you people do for fun around here?
Name's Adair. Though to the people around here, it might as well be 19. Don't think I'd put you much higher than 22, 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved.
What makes you think I was interested in the dwarf woman? He looks at you a moment, his brow arched, his smirk broadens.
I was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. You never so much as blinked. Your mouth was so slack I took you for a Radric at first.
What's it to you? You'll have to forgive my curiosity. Round here we prefer to turn a blind eye to our dead. Do you know what a watcher is?
Careful, friend. Let's not use that word round here. Could be any number of Radric bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers. Same thing in the eyes of folks around here, Radric especially. They come to these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be. Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No offense.
You think you're gonna be hanged?
The town's had it in for me for a long time now. Only fellow who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war.
Why was your headman hanged? Got involved. Radric sent men down here the other day. Said they had, on good authority, someone in town was working with Kolsk, plotting Radric's overthrow. Said if he didn't come forward right then and there, they'd hang every last one of us. No one was coming forward, so Swithin, that's my headman, he steps up and says it's him. They took him at his word. Bound to happen sooner or later, if not for plotting against Radric, then for protecting me. Who's Kolsk? Someone who got tired of all the hangings. He's on the run now, probably will be till they catch him. What does your town have against him?
Pick the wrong god. That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Vathus worshippers in Gilded Vale. That mess of rocks over there, that was a temple to him, to give you some idea. Then one day, somebody named Widewind shows up on Deerwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, then I did too. But, he didn't make it back. After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the Legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, that he was on the wrong side. And I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me. Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, the townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Radric's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing.
could see why I was eager to leave. If you're next to be hanged, what are you still doing here? Drinking, mostly. Point of fact, I'm on my way out, just haven't figured out where I'm going yet. Not a whole lot of places out there that don't think Waidwin's legacy started with Waidwin. We could travel together. Where are you headed? Someplace called Caden Nua. There's an old watcher there who might be able to help me.
I seem to remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say watcher with a hush on your breath. A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. Don't know why I never thought of it before. Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger, and a strange one at that. But, truth be told, you might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree.
There's a fine reason if I ever heard one.
All right, then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. Long as you're not the one picking the sights.
Let's get going.
I'm here.
Bring Eater to speak with Merwald. Okay. New party member. Saber. Shield. Bow. Saints War Armor. Pretty good. Cape. He's a fighter. Every fighter needs a helmet. Pretty ridiculous looking, but okay. Okay, so it's 4 o'clock my time. I think I'm gonna stop for today. Thank you, Pissed Off Bunny. Thank you, Masiju47. Thank you, Testa Media, for coming in and chatting with me. And if you gave me a follow, thank you for the follow. As I've been mentioning on my stream, I haven't yet nailed down my schedule, but I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to find a steady time to stream. I will be streaming Pillars until I'm done. And you can check out my other videos. I just finished Doom Eternal. So, appreciate it, and have a great day.